Greetings and welcome to Legal Vices. I'm the host of the channel, and today there's some things we got to talk about. We have to talk about the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. Now, there are lots of other YouTubers that are streaming the trial and commenting on it. I was going to stay out of it for the most part and let them do their thing, but watching the trial the past couple of days has really raised the blood pressure a bit, and we got to have kind of a delicate conversation about this. Um, I'm not sure how to approach it. I see myself as trying to be objective. Now, at the beginning, when these allegations first happened, I remember thinking Johnny Depp is screwed. I mean, and I think it was a little bit of the bias from my point of view. I know the history of alcohol. I know his history with drugs. And it was very easy for me to conclude that, wow, he's going to get nailed because someone finally got him. He's a crazy drug-addled alcoholic actor, and so now he's going to be doing these. Now beating women doesn't seem like a big stretch, I guess, in my head, and so I was fully expecting the evidence to come out. And then as we got closer to trial, there was more and more details being brought up, more and more hints of what was going to be seen at trial. So I thought it would be interesting to see. And during Johnny Depp's case in chief, wow. If even half of what, if even a tenth of what he said happened to him, Amber Heard is an evil, evil woman. Now, on the other hand, if even 1% of the things that Amber Heard is alleging in her case are true, then Johnny Depp needs to be buried under the prison. But when I look at this as a lawyer and look at it from my point of view, what I'm seeing is I found Johnny Depp as a witness to be incredibly credible. I found him to be a very credible witness. And I don't think it is his acting skills or if he is, just dazzling us with his ability to pull the wool over our eyes. I was surprised to see this side of Johnny Depp. I expected him to be the big alpha male, the red pill guy, but you saw a very weak, damaged person, and it displays a lot of characteristics of someone who's very submissive, someone who's been in an abusive situation like he alleged. And on the other hand, we've got Amber Heard, who we've seen tapes, and we've heard the audio of these outbursts, these horrible things she said, and even having Johnny go out and renting an extra room so he has a place to go hide from her. And all of these things have been corroborated by other witnesses. And so I was waiting for Amber Heard to give her side of the story during her testimony to see if she was going to come off as credible. But it's been very, very interesting to watch her testify. Now, the past 2 days she's been on the stand, she's talked about Johnny Depp being jealous, her trying to alleviate a problem by walking out of the room, her trying to solve things by begging him to stop, but he would drag her back in the room. He would ignore her pleas to calm down. But these things are exactly the same thing that Johnny Depp was saying he was doing to her and she was doing to him. So it seems like there's some sort of total projection going on. And we've seen that before, earlier on in the trial. And even before, when she was mirroring and mimicking his clothing, mimicking his style. We saw her mimicking the psychologist during the psychologist testimony. And now we see her co-opting what seems to be co-opting Johnny's story about how she was the peacemaker, she was the abused one, she was the one that was the victim, and telling exactly the same story. And that comes off as really, really strange to me. And so we're going to get into a little bit of the discussion today. And as we do, we're going to start off with my personal legal vice of the evening, a 59.9% Aberlour Abuna Scotch. This is a fantastic Scotch, and I need it tonight. It's got a nice, lovely, chocolatey taste. It's been matured in Spanish Oloroso sherry casks, and we'll just pour a little drink and get down to business here. Now, again, I don't want to make it seem as if I'm victim blaming or anything. I don't know who the victim is here, and that's what the jury is here to decide. The jury is here to make the decision as to who is right, who is wrong, if anybody's right, who gets damages or who doesn't get damages. So, what do we do in this situation? We have to look at what we see with Amber Heard and how she's portraying herself. I would love to see the jury's reaction to a lot of these things. Listening to her testify, absolutely every single thing she talks about, every single piece of abuse is completely Johnny's fault, and she has done nothing. She's just minding her own business, and he backhands her across the face. She says good morning, he chokes her out. Just these weird things. Someone touches her, and he flips out. She has not admitted to doing a single thing wrong that I can recall. She hasn't admitted to instigating anything as well as I can recall. But in Johnny's testimony, he was admitting to being human. They got the drugs and the alcohol out really quick. They got in front of that. They said he is this man with faults, but that's one fault he doesn't have, is abusing women. Whereas she comes off as much less credible because she's not taking responsibility for anything. She's not admitting to any faults. She's not admitting to doing anything wrong. And I guess like the comedian Bill Burr said when he was talking about No Reason to Hit a Woman, that skit. Can we all just agree that not every ass kicking just falls out of the sky? There's a little bit of instigation that goes on. He even mentions in that skit that even hockey players get a penalty for instigating. So if Johnny Depp was this guy that would just go berserk and smash her in the face for no reason every time, and she's detailing time after time after time after time, I find it really, really difficult to believe. As much as I want to give people the benefit of the doubt, which is what you should do as a juror, I mean, she goes so far to deny any responsibility that in the afternoon of her first day of testifying, she mentioned that. What did she say? She said, "Oh yeah, she was talking about Johnny Depp, one of the assaults, and said, well, how did this happen?" He said, well, I threw he slapped me, and then he was going to slap me again, so I threw a pot at him. She caught herself there. She stopped and said, well, so I threw and then she had to backtrack. Okay, he hit me. He had to act like he was going to hit me a couple of times. But I mean, if he's done any of these things, where are the witnesses? Where's the witnesses to all of this? For example, he talks about there at some weird trailer park place having a mushroom happy fest. He apparently grabbed a girl by her wrist and threatened to break her arm. Where is she? She better be on this witness list. She better be there to testify. Amber says that he was holding a dog out the window of the car as they drove around. But earlier, she said he only rolled down the window a little bit. But then the next time she tells the story, she's got a dog out the window. But where are the people in the car testifying? There's someone from that car better come and testify that Johnny was doing this stuff. And again, there's another episode with a flight attendant. The flight attendant rests her head on Amber, or touches Amber's shoulder, does something, and allegedly Johnny Depp grabs the flight attendant and threatens to break her wrist, which is kind of the same story she just told. And again, where is the stewardess? Is the stewardess on the witness list? I don't know. I doubt it, but she needs to be. All of these examples where Amber Heard is accusing Johnny Depp of violence, there's no pictures to corroborate it. There's no witnesses to corroborate it. The best pictures she's got so far are maybe possibly a little discoloration in just about the same area where you would get a Botox shot. I mean, just these vague things. She showed a picture that allegedly was where hair had been ripped out of her scalp. I couldn't see anything. I mean, it's just all. I mean, it's grim and it's sad, and she remembers these weird details, things that just don't make sense. He talks about being slapped silly by him. Again, he hits her and he hits her again and again and again. The first time it happened, slaps her. She's shocked. She doesn't know what to do. She laughs. He slaps her again. And he slaps her again and knocks her off balance. So she's being assaulted and beaten by this guy. And her testimony was she remembers laying on the carpet thinking, wow, how did we let this carpet get so dirty? This is really dirty carpet. I mean, that's stuff you would see in a movie. I mean, that's something you would read in a book. I mean, that's a script. It's so unbelievable. I challenge any woman who has been the victim of abuse to, challenge is the wrong word. I'm asking any woman who has been the victim of abuse whether she was thinking about the carpet being dirty while her husband is beating the bejesus out of her. I think she'd be worried about getting out of the situation, protecting herself, not dying. And it told about this body cavity search where he thought she had stolen something, possibly his drugs, and he was looking for them, and she didn't know what he was talking about. So he rips off her dress. And then she goes off on this. He ripped the dress, this pink dress that I had just dyed the other day. And she gets off on these weird little details that it would read like a script, like a treatment. The camera focuses in on the torn dress, the pink dress that we saw her dyeing in the last scene. He tears off her dress, tears off her clothes, rips off her panties, and proceeds to do a body cavity search, as she calls it. And then she says, I didn't know what to do, so I remember just staring at the light. She's not kicking, screaming, punching. I mean, why would you remember just staring into the light? I don't understand this. Maybe it's true. Maybe it's all true, but I don't understand it. There's just something off about it. She doesn't have enough details for situations where she needs the details. And then she's got all of these pointless, weird little details for things that don't make that much difference. And that just seem like they're being thrown in to flower this up. And excuse me, just her behavior, these weird attempts. Now, again, I've seen a lot of things on the internet, but she's not crying, so therefore it's fake. That's a very tough thing to deal. That's a tough thing to say, because I've seen witnesses that do cry. I mean, it can be they if they cry, then they're crying because they're guilty and got caught. And if they don't cry, oh, they're not. They don't feel sorry. They're not really a victim. It's a damned if you do and damned if you don't situation. The fact that someone cries or not doesn't really prove guilt or innocence. Even body behavior analysts will have differing opinions. Everybody processes stress, grief, guilt, shame differently. So just to say simply she's not crying, so therefore she's lying and not telling the truth, that I think is incorrect. But what's weird is she spent a lot of time, to me, clearly trying to cry, actively scrunching up her face and doing these weird gestures that just aren't natural, and were things that I used to do as a child to try to produce the tears so I could get my older brother in trouble. You scrunch up your eyes, you try to force the tears out, you go through the motions of crying without the tears. That is a little bit strange. I mean, for example, some of the facial expression things here. This was on the first day of her testimony. Let's bring up this video. Here we go. I can't think of the exact time when this happened, but we were there.
In June 2013, how were you feeling about your relationship with Mr. Depp? Can we have the exhibit taken away from you? Thank you.
Stone face, cold, no emotion. Looking at the jury.
I was so torn. I was so in love with this person, because when it was good, it was so good.
Now, that's a very common thing that body behavior analysts and things will talk about. How what your lips are saying, what your mouth is saying, the words that are coming out don't mesh with reality. And so you'll do these negative gestures. Her mouth is saying things, but her head is denying it. It's an involuntary thing. And these faces she's pulling, this forced frown as she looks directly at the jury. It's like someone says, cue, go. She's stone faced, and then suddenly she's off in this weird gesture land.
You've never felt love like that. At least that's how it felt. So much. I felt like he recognized me. I recognized him.
I recognized him, and he recognized me. Okay, then. I think she was in love with him. I do. But this doesn't make any sense to me. She's trying so hard. Look at that expression. She's trying desperately to cry, but it's not coming. And it's not a dry sob. People that dry sob, the chin, they have the cry muscles, the chin reflex. You do like that. She's not doing that. This is just, to me, it looks clearly like she's acting.
There was just something there that was the love of my life. And he was.
And
He was. But he was also this other thing.
Okay, now this part really annoys me. People don't talk like this. Real people don't repeat the same phrase over and over again. He was the love of my life. He was. He was. He was. That's not a. It's just weird, especially when she's talking about now. She's going to be talking about him being this other thing. This other thing. She'll just keep repeating it in a way that you would read in a cheap dime store novel, not given in the natural course of conversation.
He was also this other thing. And that other thing was awful.
No tears at all.
Awful thing that would come out and take over. And it was, you couldn't see the Johnny I loved underneath it. It was this other thing. And no one told him. No one was honest with him. No one, he'd pass out in his own vomit. He'd lose control of his body,
Okay, now this is an interesting part. This is why I don't think it's tears of sadness, because there's no tears coming. There's no tears here. She has the I'm crying voice. She has the I'm crying gestures. She has the I'm crying scrunched up face, but there's no actual crying, not a single tear. Her eyes don't even look moist. What I think she is, and this was kind of the point that solidified it for me, because when we heard all of Johnny's horrific testimony, that's only one side. There's another side to that coin, and we're hearing the other side, and this was kind of the moment that solidified it for me. She sounds pissed off. She's angry. She's angry, and I believe she's making these accusations to get revenge. Why? Because he divorced her. She lost all of her hope. She had this hope for the family. She lost money because he was going to be her meal ticket. This seems to me to be a very, very revengeful woman. She wants revenge for the divorce, revenge for all of the stuff she's lost, revenge. She brings these charges against him, knowing it's going to hurt him, knowing it's going to chop him off at the knees, knowing it's going to hurt him. Let's just pop back a little bit if we can and look at this not from someone who's allegedly a victim of domestic abuse. I guess we can't say that on YouTube. DA. Look at someone who's a victim. Don't look at it as someone who's a victim. Look at it as someone who is angry at another person and wants revenge. And this could be the anger. When people can get angry and cry, and people can get angry and almost cry. This is what it seems like to me, an angry almost cry. Let's bump it back a little bit and listen to how angry she sounds. These are the reactions I would expect to see from someone who is pissed off and wanting to hurt someone and is just full of rage and revenge.
By June, I was so torn. I was so in love with this person. Because when it was good, it was so good. You've never felt love like that. At least that's how it felt.
She's lost the love. She lost her gravy train.
I felt like he recognized me and I recognized him, and there was just something.
To me, that looks like the expression of someone who's angry.
That is the love of my life.
That's a pissed off look right there. That's what I'm going to get you.
And he was. But he was also this other thing.
Now,
he was also this other thing.
And look at this other thing. She's going to list these other things he was. And these are all things that make her angry, that she feels frustration about and wants revenge for, I think.
And that other thing was awful. Awful thing that would come out and take over, and it was, you couldn't see the Johnny I loved underneath it. It was this other thing. And no one told him. No one was honest with him. No one.
See, she's getting angry.
Pass out in his own vomit. He'd lose control of his body. He'd lose control, and everyone would clean up after him. I cleaned up after him.
That's an angry woman right there. That's not a victim. That's not someone who has suffered DA. That's someone who's pissed off that she has a drug-addled, drunken idiot for a husband who's pissing and shitting himself, and she's got to clean it up, and none of his yes men are taking care of him. None of them's taking responsibility for him. None of them are helping him. She's got to deal with it. She's upset, and by God, she's going to go and get him. That's my take.
I mean, this man lost control of his bowels, and I cleaned up after him. His security cleaned up after him, changed his pants in front of me. He would pass out in his own sick.
And who says that? Has anyone ever in the history of the world, outside of a novel or a movie, ever said passed out in his own sick? I doubt it. Nobody talks like that. But are you seeing what I'm seeing in this? I could be completely wrong, but to me, it sounds like someone who's pissed off and vengeful and has just had it and is fed up. She lost everything she wanted. She put up with this bullshit for as long as she possibly could. Then he leaves, and now she's stuck, empty, alone, and she wants revenge.
And then he'd walk around saying he didn't have a problem. Until he did. Until he couldn't support it anymore, and he'd get clean, and he'd get sober, and then he was this thing again. This thing that made me feel so loved, that made me feel like...
No tears, just anger.
Like my soulmate, as cheesy as that sounds, I just felt like he knew me. And I recognized something in him. There was some part of my makeup, of my background, or something that I just got it. And I loved him and understood him. It just got so scary, the other part of him. And in June, I wanted to leave him.
But she didn't.
I didn't want to leave him.
What? Yeah.
I wanted to want to leave him.
I wanted to want to leave him.
Get better.
See, nobody talks like this. But let me know what you think. I mean, does that sound like someone who's angry rather than a victim? It does to me. It sounds much more like she's just pissed off and fed up and wants revenge for all the crap that she had to put up with. And then we just have to look at the evidence that's been presented. Johnny had pictures of gaping holes in his finger, cigarette burns on his face, scratches, bruises. He has all of this evidence. She doesn't have a lot. Her evidence of abuse is stories she seems to have made up. It's like the story gets better with each telling, It starts out as a small story, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. We're going to get to this more of this behavior here in a second, but her evidence is pictures of him sleeping, picture of him with some ice cream running down him. As I said, pictures of alleged bruising, which I have difficulty seeing. Hair missing, I don't see. So there's not a lot of evidence there. I don't see any physical evidence. There's no corroborating witnesses yet. There has to be. There has to be some witnesses, or I think she is well and truly screwed. But let's look again. This was from earlier in the day yesterday, which would have been the 15th or 16th day of trial, May 5th. She does. This goes back to these weird body movements she's making. Oh, look. Well, that would be nice. Let's turn up the audio. That helps.
Every day, he promised me that every day when I woke up, that I would wake up and he would make me smile at least once. And that would be his goal.
What was your goal for him, Amber?
You know, I looked into his eyes and I saw my future, hope, you know, like blind hope, so love. Yes, it was one of the most, I can't describe that kind of joy, you know. I thought
that expression right there. What? Again, this goes back to what she's saying. She lost her hope. This is again angry, and she's trying to squeeze out these tears, but she looks. The way she's dressed, the way she's acting, her facial expressions. The lead actress in *Handmaid's Tale*. I can't think of her name off the top of my head suddenly. Fantastic actress, but it seems to me like she is trying to mimic her acting style, her facial expressions. For when she gets in *Handmaid's Tale*, when she gets angry, when she gets frustrated, when she gets feisty, she has this certain expression on her face, and it looks a lot like what she's doing here. And she's kind of got the purity clothes on, the white clothes, the little nun habit looking thing. These expressions don't make any sense to me.
You know, if we were married, then this is real. This is real. This isn't a thing of.
I don't understand these scrunchy faces.
This isn't chaotic. This will change. You know, I had so much hope in that moment.
And this is just a lesson. If there's any women out there that think you want to change a man, or any man out there that thinks they want to change a woman, don't. You know who they are when you get involved with them. Don't expect someone to change after you met them. Don't do this. Oh, I'm going to make them better. I'm going to make them a better person. Oh, I'm going to change them. It almost never works. And in the end, when it blows up in your face, there's a big "I told you so" on the other side. You know what you're getting involved in. She knew long before that he was into drugs, apparently of all kinds. She knew he was an alcoholic. She knew he was a chain smoker. If she knew he was abusive, she knew he was abusive. This just makes no sense. This whole, I want to change somebody, I want to make them better. It doesn't work. And I don't want to change for anybody anymore. And nobody should have to change to be who you are, be who you want. If you want to change yourself. Nobody else is going to change you. Nobody can change you. And you can't change anybody. I cannot, worlds without end, change another person on earth. I can suggest changes. I can guide them to changes, but the decision to change has to be theirs. And so she's all upset because she thought she could make him a better person, allegedly. And according to her, she hasn't done drugs either. Her drug stories are, let's do some happy mushrooms. Let's do some of this E. But if he does the drugs, it's a horrible human being that has this horrible drug problem who falls asleep in his own sick. Frustrating.
And I just said to him over and over again, "Are you serious? Are you serious? Are you sure?" Because he didn't have a ring, so I thought, "Is this an impulse thing?" You know, my experience Johnny could be very impulsive, and he said over and over again, "Be my woman forever. I want you to be my wife, my wife, my wife." I of course cried. We had a wonderful evening, and
she still looks bitter. But I hope you can see what I mean by making these weird, absurd faces where she's just trying to squeeze the tears, but I think she's so full of rage that she desperately wants to cry but can't. And I mean, that's generally where I come up at the end of this. To me, she doesn't seem like she doesn't come across believable. I don't want to say she doesn't seem like a victim because I don't know what that means. I have no evidence one way or the other. I just know I haven't seen any evidence that convinces me that Johnny Depp was an abuser, that she was a victim of DA or SA. And I see her trying to overact, trying to force tears, trying to gain the sympathy the way she looks at the jury for approval and whatnot. And these things are just, to me, indicative of someone who is not being honest, who is not telling the truth. And it's a bit late to find the video at this point, but there was a video circulating today of where she was posing for the damn cameras. She was wiping away non-existent tears, and apparently she saw a cameraman off to the side getting ready to take her picture. So she's like, "What?" And then she just stops. You see the flash, and then she puts it down. She was posing for the damn camera, and I hope someone in the jury saw that. I hope that they saw that because it annoys me and it angers me. And we saw it again at the lunch break during the testimony on Thursday, the 5th of May, where everybody was clearing the courtroom, and first the jury leaves, and while the jury's leaving, everybody stands up and he waits for the jury to leave. And after the jury leave, then the parties go their separate ways for the 15 minutes. And when she left and Johnny left, they kind of got in the same area at the same point in time. And she does just this thing. I mean, she's in a courtroom. There's two bailiffs with weapons between her and Johnny. And she wasn't afraid when he was doing drugs. She wasn't afraid to put a cigarette out in his face. She wasn't afraid to throw things at him. She wasn't afraid to get up in his grill. She wasn't afraid to throw a gigantic bottle of vodka and disintegrate his finger and make it erupt like Mount Vesuvius, I think he said. But here, he gets in the general vicinity of her, and she acts like, holy shit, he's going to kill me. The jury's not there. I don't know why she's acting like this. Public opinion, I don't know, but she jumps back and has this look of horror on her face, like, oh, Lordy, I'm getting the vapors. If you haven't seen this is just watch her.
All right, so we'll come back at 4:02. Okay, thank you.
She's getting ready to leave here. The jury's leaving. One bailiff with a gun, another bailiff with a gun. She's coming down off the stand. You're going to see Johnny come in from the corner here. He's going to sort of walk in that general direction. This officer is going to put his hand out to stop him. And she's going to flip out. Here we go. Oh, did you see she jumped back like that? She hides in the corner and looks around really scared and confused. Like, what is going to happen? I mean, I wish I could zoom in on her face real quick here, but just watch this reaction. It is so unnecessary, so over the top.
Come back at 4:02. Okay,
Thank you.
all right, thank you.
All right.
I mean, here he comes. Just keep focus on her face. Oh, She stops, she gets the vapors, she looks up at probably for the camera, backs up in the corner. And even Johnny seems to have found it amusing. And now she walks out the other way. Ugh. I mean, that's just ridiculous. And see, those are the kind of things that I'm talking about. They just, to me, say she's not credible. She's not a credible witness. I hope these things didn't happen to her. But if they did, and if she's telling the truth, I'm not buying it, because there's just weird thing. And I honest to God don't know how to explain this. It's just it's an instinct. It's a gut feeling I have. There's just too many weird things about her testimony, too many weird things about her behavior, too much of this overacting, too much of this play. You should play for the jury as a witness in your own case, or I mean, if you're trying to persuade the jury, you should, but not to the point where you are so overacting that it becomes a meme, I guess. There's a big break in the trial for the next week, and then we'll be back for the rest of her testimony and the cross-examination. The cross-examination, I'm excited to see, because then they've opened a lot of doors with the testimony here, and the cross-examination could be devastating to her. The question is whether the lawyers will handle her with kid gloves and sort of try to walk her down the path to the destruction of her own case, or are they going to come in hard, fast, and aggressive and shred her? It's going to be interesting to see. So until then, I guess that's kind of the end of the play-by-play coverage. There might be some more things between now and then to fill the gap. But until we meet again, take care. Cheers. Enjoy your legal vices. Hit like, hit subscribe, ring the little bell, do all those things. Let's take this journey together. It's going to be a wild ride. Cheers.